So in the last video, we saw that we just tried to part of what we were doing was trying to display the customers, and we might like something like this, but it didn't do that. It did something like this, which is not obviously what we would want. So there's a kind of default way that VB will display something that's like a complex data type, like a string, like a customer. And you might say, well, how should it display our customer? For example, our customer is kind of this complex thing, and it's also something that we created completely from scratch by ourselves. So VB.NET doesn't know how it should display our customer, the elements of our structure, like what should come first, what should come second, should the first name come first, should the last name come second. It has no idea, right? Should the age come first? What should be displayed? So it has this very generic way, and I wouldn't even call it generic, but it displays like this, which is definitely not the way we want it to display. So all you have to do is there's a method that it's using called the toString method. So it takes an object, or it takes a structure and turns it into a string, because that's what we want. We want to turn it into a string, but we don't want it to be this string, right? We want it to be a string that looks reasonable. So actually we want a string, maybe we want a string like this. So anyway, there's this already existing method called the toString method, and it will display it, but in a very generic and not the way we want it. But what you can do is rewrite that toString method. We call it overriding, because it's what that means is there's a function that's already there, and we're saying no, in our specific structure we want to rewrite that or override the way it works in our particular structure. So we do that here, which is written inside the structure definition. See, here's the end of the structure. So it's inside the structure definition, and we decide, okay, we want to have the first name and the last name, parentheses, email, and close parentheses. That's the way we want it to be displayed. So we can do that by overriding the function called the toString method. So you wouldn't have known that, but that's how you do it. And you say, what should you return? And you write me dot, and then whatever you want to return. So we want the name, which remember was composite of the first name and the last name. But anyway, the name, and then we want a space, a parentheses. So we have quotation mark here, space, parentheses, and quotation marks, and then we want the email and parentheses, and that's all. So we just rewrite the toString method by doing this, and this says, okay, don't use that generic way, use this way that we've just written, and this is and this will do what we want. Okay, so now it will display like this. Now you can play around with it and have it display some other way, like you could just use the last name instead of name, and then whatever you want. You can have the age, or you could have a couple things in there, whatever you want, but we're going to do it this way. So he says, so that's how we get it to display like this. So he says, we need to define a custom string representation for our customer type, for instance, name and then email. This turns out to be very easy. We do this by overriding the toString system function for customer, as shown below. So we do it like this. Add this function to customers. It overrides the system toString function. So toString returns the string shown when used with a customer. Okay, now our output has the desired appearance.